Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Estrella podcast. My name is Danielle Miranda, and before we get started in introducing today's guest, if you would like to learn more about the Estrella platform, please visit estrella.chat, where you'll get all the information and upcoming news of the launch that's coming here in the next few weeks. Now, to introduce today's guest, I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing today spiritualist medium and reverend Dawn Collinson. Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Hi, Danielle. I'm very, very well. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. And I always have to ask this with my guests when I hear a beautiful accent. Where are you located?
I'm from London, United Kingdom.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. I've always wanted to go to London. I hear so many just cool things about the city and the food and the culture and the architecture of the buildings there.
Mm-hmm.
I heard is just
Absolutely.
gorgeous.
It's a very diverse place to live. It's beautiful. And the most important thing to remember is to look up. Don't
Oh,
just look ahead when you're walking around town. Look up and look at the architecture. It's beautiful. We're very lucky.
that's very well said. And you said something that I really do like about London is that it is very diverse and multicultural. And I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a place where, I mean, not everybody lives by the same ideals, but as in any country, but we're afforded the luxury of being able to be ourselves
Yes.
as much as we will allow ourselves to be. And it's a beautiful representation of diversity. Whenever you go out on the streets, you see all kinds of walks of life, people from all over the place coming
Yes.
together, and whether it's nightlife or whatever they're doing, it's just great. It's cool. I love living here.
So super awesome. I have to ask, Dawn, if that's okay.
Mm,
You you go by spiritualist medium.
that's
Is
right.
is there a difference between spiritualist medium and psychic medium, if I may ask?
Yes. I go by, see, anyone can be anyone who hones their abilities can be a medium. And what separates you from being a psychic medium, if you want to call yourself that, or just a medium or a spiritualist medium, is that as a medium, I follow the spiritualist belief system.
Mm.
Okay, so that means that I don't just believe that I can just talk to our loved ones in the world of spirit. It also means that I follow 7 principles, which are brought to us by Emma Hardinge Britten, who was an amazing woman who filled the Albert Hall and all these sorts of things. She was incredible, and she gave us through her mediumship. She gave us the 7 principles of spiritualism, which I try to follow every single day
Mhm.
to the best of my abilities, along with my mediumship.
Now, was this something, Dawn, that were you born into this? Were you born following this path, or was this something that came to you uh, in the process of you developing and growing and learning more about yourself?
Sure. I've never really known any different. There wasn't anybody that necessarily was a medium in my close family, in my experience as being a child, but I had very what seemed to me very normal, natural, everyday experiences growing up, right from my earliest memory of being about 3 years old. We're not all fortunate to remember 3 years old, but I had a very poignant experience at 3. I I wasn't allowed to go back downstairs, as my mum was like, "No, it's bedtime now." So I stayed in my bed, and obviously I was a little bit upset. And I remember very vividly, we had the light fitting in my bedroom. it kind of sort of morphed into a globe, into a world. And there was, as the more I looked at it, I realized that there was water dripping off of it, like oceans, water dripping off of it, but it wasn't making the carpet wet. And then it was very real. I wasn't asleep. It was very real. It was not a dream. And then I instinctively looked under my covers, pulled them back, and there was a little family of ducks, toddling along underneath my blankets. And it was so real to me. It was like I could have reached out and touched them. And I to this day just believe that it was just a very comforting way of spirit being able to comfort a little child. And then things continued to develop for me, and I would experience things. And then when I was like going through puberty, I think a lot of people have the experience where all of a sudden it kind of shifts up a gear. So you may not have experience for a long time as you're getting through school life and doing everything normal. And then in puberty, I started to have more experiences. And I was able to firstly describe a gentleman to my mum who I kept seeing. And she instantly gave me a photo album and made me pick out who this person was. And I picked him out and, gave her information about him. And she was able to tell me exactly, yeah, that's the person.
Was it a family member or somebody that your mom or you knew?
It was a family member. Member. It was actually my mum's favorite uncle.
Aww.
So they were very close.
Aww.
So it was kind of special. And my experiences then kind of, if they either peak, they go up and then they trail off, depending on what parts of my life I was in as I was growing up.
Yes.
And that's kind of how it happened, how it continued for me.
So as you developed and grew into your adulthood, you kept having clearer and deeper experiences.
Absolutely. When I was, by the time of 19, or before that, my mum and my nan, they brought me, I know this is a weird present, but it's what I asked for. I asked for a Ouija board. And not to sort of, because you should never play with Ouija boards. It's not something to play with. It's not fun. It should be something that is deeply respected. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's not like the Hollywood films. It's just something to be deeply respected and used as a tool for communication. And so we started using it straight away, and first of all, it was the kind of whole, you moved that, didn't you? You touched it. No, I didn't touch it. And my mum and my nan encouraged me. And I think quite a few of the females on my mum's side of the family and my dad's side of the family as well have an ability. But sadly, I only ever knew one person. It was my mum's mum, and I'd heard little things about her abilities. So, but she kept it very quiet. So, but I was always encouraged.
This is a generational gift that you've been able to kind of inherit.
It seems to go through the grandchild, the grandparent. It seems to go back like that, And my mum has what's called claircognizance. So
may I ask, what is that?
Yeah, it's the ability to just know something. You just know it. For instance, if I'd said to her, is it going to rain today? She would instantly know. She would instantly be able to answer the word no or yes. She won't know how she knows it, but she just does. It's just instinctual. And it's called claircognizance. It's a clair knowing. So my mum has that very, very deeply. I can always rely on that if ever I want to know anything.
What's also really beautiful is that you're also a reverend too, correct?
That's correct. I first started going to spiritualist churches when I was 19 years old. And I knew from that moment of being 19, I knew from that very moment that this was home for me. You know, being a spiritualist, you know, even though saying you're a spiritualist is just a name, you know, it's just a tag for what your way of life is and how you wish, what your beliefs are, what you know to be true for you personally. And it set so well with me, and it just made me feel like I was at home and that I belonged. And I knew that I would spend my life dedicating myself to spiritualism.
Yes.
And during the lockdown, when we had lockdown, I decided that I really wanted to do something with my life in spiritualism, and so I started to train as a reverend. And December last year, I was ordained. So and it was just the greatest experience ever. It was an opportunity for me to dedicate my life to the furtherment of spiritualism, and
Yes.
not just the name of spiritualism, but being able to help people,
Yes.
you know, in a more defined manner.
Yes. If I may ask, Dawn, are you okay with? You had said that in your spiritualist church that there are 7 principles that you go by.
Mhm.
Are you willing to share a couple of them? What those 7
Yes,
principles are?
of course. There's the brotherhood of man, which is our second principle. And there are different ways of people have of thinking about it. But really, for me, the brotherhood of man is about us all being connected, remembering that we are all connected and that we have no separation. So we're all part of a soul group, a soul experience. And at this time, we are incarnated all together at this very moment. And it's a collective consciousness that we have, so that we are all to love each other as a mirror of ourselves. We're all part of each other. So there is no separation between you, no separation between me. It's only the physical world that separates us. You know, so
Oh,
we're
wow.
all brothers
Yeah.
and sisters, if you know, however you like to say it, really. Also with the animal kingdom as well, we're all God's creatures, if you will. You know, so there's no separation. So that's our brotherhood of man. And of course, we have the continuous existence of the human soul, which is our belief, well, our knowing, our knowledge that there is no death. There is no death. The only thing that ends is the physical body. So, meaning that this is how I have children, and I explain it to them and it works so well with that explanation that I even take it out to the churches and explain it to people like this. When your car gets old, and because only so many times you can take it to the garage to get fixed until they say it's done, your car is done. You know, if you think of your body as being your vehicle, you know, eventually your car is just done. You get
Yes.
out of the car. You are not the car. You are the driver. You are not the car. The car is what is done. It's finished. So you get out of the car and you continue down the road without the car. You continue your journey. You continue to grow. You just get out of the car.
I like that. That's a great
Yeah.
analogy, and it makes so much sense. And to be honest, I do believe that there is no death.
Absolutely.
Just leave our physical body, but our soul, it moves forward, moves on.
Totally.
So,
It's continuous existence. So there are thoughts that you might transform into another way of life. You know, there are different levels of the spiritual realms. So much for us to look to further our existence, our learning, our knowledge. And it kind of leads into the brotherhood of man, because I believe that whatever someone else learns, whatever their life experience, when we come together, they affect our knowledge.
Mhm.
And so it creates that whole continuous vat of knowledge, which can only help each other. And then people who are in the spirit realm, our guides, our helpers, they can continue to help those lower on a lower plane than themselves, and also help those who are on the earth plane. So it's all a continuous thread of evolution.
Yes, yes. If I may ask, have you ever had, being a part of the Spiritualist Church, have you ever had another denomination, a Christian or Catholic or Muslim, come to the Spiritualist Church, really resonate with what they feel and hear, and decided that, they wanted to be a part of that, the
Mm.
Spiritualist Church?
Well, as spiritualist churches, although the church I belong to, we are Christian spiritualists.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Spiritualism is an umbrella for, so we have Christian spiritualists, you have just SNU spiritualists, which follow the Spiritualist National Union.
Hmm.
If you believe that there is no death, and you have those that it's okay, that it's acceptable and it is right to communicate with those in the spirit world once they have passed, then you are following that spiritualist path. So
Mm.
it doesn't matter who walks through those doors of that church, no matter what they class themselves as, a Buddhist, whatever you might be. If you are open to the knowledge that our existence is continuous, then, and that love is the most important power in the universe, then you are welcome.
Mm.
And you will find that things resonate with you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Have you had, amongst the congregation in
Mm.
your spiritualist church, are there other mediums or psychics that also have these gifts? Or so that's part A. Part B to that, do you have to have psychic or medium gifts in order to be a part of
No,
the congregation?
no, not at all. Um, if you're willing to help, say you want to make tea, you want to share. So I mean, you want to. There's so many different elements that you can do to help keep the church doors open. You know, ways that you can help, whether you can do technology, whether you can, whatever you feel your gift is,
Mm,
whatever you can give, however, you know being a human being does not mean that you just only focus on one thing.
right.
You have everything to bring to the table, everything.
I love that.
Whatever it is, you will be of service in some way.
Mm. That's beautiful. And it creates such a collective, a loving collective. And
Absolutely.
that's the goal of this. It's not
Yeah.
just, I look at it as, it's not just being self-serving in this process, right? It's also
Absolutely.
about being a part of a community and
Hmm.
treating people the way you would want to be treated. And like you said,
The brotherhood of man.
together, brothers and sisters, and loving one another and
Mhm.
helping one another and being each other's teachers and students, because I believe that that goes hand in hand. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of us, myself included, a lot of mediums will teach, will teach circles, so development groups, which I myself do, and it is a beautiful way of being able to share what your knowledge that you have, that collective consciousness, and
mhm.
help somebody else on their spiritual pathway, as you yourself, or I myself have been. I sat in circle when I was young, and continued my knowledge. So yeah, anything that you can give is
Mhm.
expressing love on some level.
Yes. Now, you had stated, Dawn, that you're a mother. And I think that is incredible. You're a beautiful mom, you're a reverend, you're a spiritualist medium. How do you balance motherhood with what you
Mm.
do and giving back to your community in the spiritualist world?
Well, I've always brought my children up to not have to believe what I believe, because they're their own people, with their own pathways. But I will not keep any of my knowledge secret. What mummy does, the children know about all the time. They were always been aware, and it's never been something to be ashamed of. And they've always been, I mean, all three of I have three children, two little boys, and all three of them I was pregnant with them while I was demonstrating on platform. So they've all experienced platform work mediumship before they were even born. So it's something that they've always known. They've never known any different. And they know that life is eternal. You know, that we don't have to be afraid when someone passes away. It's not goodbye forever, you know. And ultimately I've tried my best. As I'm a mum, I fail. I'm a human being, I fail, right? But I do my best to instill in them that unconditional love is the greatest power, and it is our greatest lesson.
Yes.
You know, because you're not born with the ability to love unconditionally. You're born with that, because we're not born with racism or sex, you know. We're not born with anything like that where that's taught. We are learnt to behave like that. And then we lose the ability to naturally unconditionally love. So we have to reteach ourselves that, and that's hard.
Yes.
That's hard. But so that's what I try to give, that balance of teaching my children that this is the most important thing. And it can be difficult because, I mean, you know, I'm a very busy person, as you can probably imagine. But I'm very, very lucky that I'm able to balance myself out by spending quality time with them. And I have a wonderful mum who, you know, who watches them, and she has always supported me throughout my journey. And I know full well that she will continue to support my children throughout their journey as well. So with her help, I'm able to balance my spiritual life, work, and my children.
That's
They all
wonderful.
it all threads together.
That's wonderful. Have any of your children come to you yet and have expressed further interest about the Spiritualist Church and wanting to be a part of it?
My middle son, I have twins, and my middle son. So I have an older boy, and then I have twins. And my middle child, he quite often has attended church with me. He'll sit in the congregation with me, and he will sit there quite happily, and he'll want to say prayers with it. I mean, they all know the healing hymn off by heart. That's their nursery rhyme, the healing hymn. And they know lots of spiritual prayers and things because they were brought up with it. So that's a normal part of their life. So and whenever I say, oh, hi Nan, or hi whoever, because I can see them, so it's normal for me to do that in the comfort of my own home, you know.
Yes.
Then because it's a safe place. And they will go, oh, can you see Nanny? Or, oh, can you see, you know, or they'll say, oh, hi great granddad, you know, because they know that I could say they're used to it. It's normal for them. You know, so it's
Dawn, does a Spiritualist church have the same format as, you know, a Christian church, Catholic church? Do you do praise and worship to start off, and then is there like a sermon, and do you end with praise and worship? Okay, so it's the exact same format.
It's very similar in the fact that we always will start off with our prayers to open our service, and that's also the same for when we're running a circle. So if we're doing a development circle, we start it off with a prayer. Everything starts with prayer. Everything starts with a cup of tea. Everything starts with prayer. And then you will have a healing minute. So just time for us to send out healing thoughts. as well. And that is, and you'll normally have a healing book. All churches have healing books, and that's somewhere where everybody's name is written down, everyone that could need healing, whether they're human or animal. And then, so that's another part of the service. And then it will go on to a reading, an address. So the reading may be a beautiful poem that emotes some thought processes within yourself and the congregation. And then normally the medium will give an address, and so they will address the congregation and give them something that really provokes positive emotion within people. It's always an upliftment that is the the crux of everything. We want to uplift and to kind of get everyone in the right frame of mind. And then, if there's a free will offering, which many churches, that's the norm,
Yes.
And then we'll have our then we will go into having our mediumship demonstration. And it's not about getting your message, it's not like, oh, I didn't get my message, so I'm going to leave.
Right.
It's about getting the message. So receiving healing, receiving comfort in listening to other people's messages,
Absolutely.
And then we will have our closing prayer, and it all ends with a cup of tea.
Was it hard for you to go through the process of becoming a reverend? What did that process look like?
The process of becoming a reverend, for us, we're the United Spiritualists. That's our awarding body. And we first of all have to give so many references from churches and places we've demonstrated. And you have to have not just been able to give the mediumship, which is fantastic, but you need to be able to give, like I said, that upliftment, that sense of comfort, that love. You need to be able to exude that through your church services. And then once you have your references, then it becomes about a year of doing funeral services, weddings or christenings or whatever you can do, and being of help within the community. Really, expressing to the utmost your heartfelt devotion to spiritualism, to being a spiritual person.
Right. Now you could have just said, you know what, I really love this and I just want to be a part of it and come and go. But you took it one step further and you decided that you wanted to become a reverend. What was the catalyst of making that big step?
It was in me to want to serve. I think it is just in you. You can turn up every day and you can do this, you can do, but I think it has to be in you that there must be something more for your purpose here.
Yes.
It's whether it's guidance, whether it's outside of me, there is some kind of impetus, some kind of quickening that happens to you inside that says, I need to be able to serve in a more in-depth way. I need to I need to develop this and give it to other people in the best way that I can. And that's becoming a reverend was something I knew that this is what I wanted to be able to do for people.
Yes. Now I don't know much about this, but once you become a reverend, do you have to do additional training? Is there continuing education? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to do a training that helps with I can't think of the name of it, and I've got it on my head. I've got it in my head, but I can't think of the name of it. 2 seconds, because my mind's gone blank. We have lost our mind. Counseling. That's the word I was looking for. Counseling. I couldn't think of the word. I started to lose. I was gone crazy. It was on the tip of my tongue. The word is counseling. So I did a counseling course, and that was a beautiful experience. And being able to relay that, not just in the way that you'd expect counseling to be done, but to put a spiritual spin on it. Because we have people who will contact myself or my church, and they will be perhaps people who are going through an awful lot of pain and suffering. They're people who are grieving, deeply grieving.
Right.
And you need to be able to comfort that person in the best way possible for them, in a way that is emotionally safe for them as well, and yourself.
Absolutely.
And you need to be able to, in a moment, if that person is sitting in the congregation, and you give them a message that is very emotionally charged for them, they can be they can be hurting so much, and you need to be able to conduct yourself in the right way.
Yes.
So counseling is very, very a huge part of being a reverend. And we will have people who will profess that they might have a haunting, meaning that they have a spiritual entity of some sort within their home or within their life. And it is up to us as a reverend to be able to discern whether this is an emotional situation for the person. How do we deal with this? What's what we should be doing? How we can best help this person.
Yes.
So counseling is a huge part, and that's that's how it should be.
When you're working with clients, Dawn, what does a typical session look like for you?
Well, if I'm booked for a private reading, it's normally about 30 minutes. That's what I set it for. But if spirit want it to go over, that's entirely up to them. I don't sort of kind of go, oh, you've got your 30-minute time now. That's it.
Yes.
We'll always start out and I take my deep breaths. I get myself centered. I'll normally spend about 10-15 minutes beforehand just getting myself meditating, getting myself connecting with my guides. And you can't call upon the dead, but I will ask that the spirit world, I'll say, look, I've got a client coming to be with me. Please come and talk to your relative, come and talk to your loved one. You know that you are welcome, loved, and appreciated. So I'm just sending out that thought. I'm not calling them. I'm just sending the thought. I'm sort of sending out an invitation, if you like.
I like that.
And then once the person is whether it's on on virtual or whether they're in front of me, I will just connect, and then I'll just start talking. I'll just start telling them what I'm experiencing. And whether they can accept them, say yes, no, and if it's a no, it's not a bad thing. If it's a no, that's a good thing, because it means that I just have to work harder. I just have to, get that connection stronger. It's never the spirit. It's always the medium that is at fault, not the spirit.
Absolutely. Are there other spiritualist churches, Dawn, in the London area? Are you guys the only one?
So many.
Really?
There are so many, and there are private spiritualist churches. There are SNU spiritualist churches, SNU being the Spiritualist National Union. Independent churches as well. There are just places that will just meet, like meeting halls. There's so many, and there's so many around that you'll always find. You'll look online, you'll find this SAGB, you'll find all kinds of places that will, if you live locally, you'll find them, and you'll be very warmly welcomed, I'm sure.
Yes. Now, this might be a weird question, but I'm learning about all this, and it's so intriguing. Do you guys have your own book, or do you guys follow the Bible? if I may ask? Like,
Yeah, of course. We don't necessarily follow a Bible,
okay.
even though we are. When we say Christian spiritualist, it's a belief that we know that the fatherhood of God. You
Mm,
know,
yes, I
it
understand.
doesn't mean that we necessarily follow the Bible. And then if you are just you say that I'm a spiritualist, then there is no book, there is
Mm,
no actual Bible for you as such.
yes.
That's why we have the 7 principles that we follow, because that gives us that stone to hold, that holding,
Right.
that we can follow, that we say
Okay.
these are our set of rules, you
So the
know.
7 principles are just that. Is there room for other principles to come into play, or have these 7 principles been around for many years?
They have been around for many years, but they have, I believe there were about 3 more to
Oh,
begin with.
okay.
But they have been condensed into the
Mm,
7 principles. Um, but from Emma Hardinge Britten,
mm,
and they are ones that we have, that collectively said these are the ones that we will hold dear. These are the ones that are, that give the right frame of mind to everybody.
yes.
So our beliefs, we believe in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, continuous existence, the ministry of angels, eternal progress. All of these things. These are our 7 principles that we truly believe in and that we live our everyday lives by. So we don't have a book, we don't have a Bible, but we do have those principles.
Yes. Yes. So if I may ask, Dawn, um, what is your take on manifestation, or just having like that ultimate faith where there's not an ounce of doubt, you put it
Mhm.
out there and you allow whatever's going to come your way to come your way? Like, what are
Yep.
some of your thoughts on these
We,
methodologies when it comes to the spiritualist world?
yeah, I believe that we get in our own way too
Mm,
easily,
so well
and
said.
we get in the way of what the spirit world, or the great spirit wants for our greatest good, for our highest good.
Mm, absolutely.
We have free will, and it's we are all part of God. I believe that we are all God experiencing its self, you know so we are all little facets of God. God is within us, so we are able to manifest what we want for our greatest good. Obviously there are, um there is our pathway, we have our pathway, but we are able to veer off and come back and go however we wish. um but we have that strength, that energy is everything. Energy
Yes,
is
it
really
is.
the greatest thing. So, and we are all made of energy. So, you know energy is what creates that manifestation of whatever we put out there. Thoughts are living things,
Yes.
so the power of thought is immense. And through that's how the spirit world communicate with mediums, or through however, is through that thought,
Yes.
energy. So manifestation, absolutely, absolutely, but it's your intent, the power of your intent,
Mm,
that is the crux of it. If you truly believe something, you truly want it for the right reasons,
yes.
and you put
That's what's
you
important.
put those wheels in motion for yourself. you
Mhm.
know um I mean, the thought of fake it till you make it. Keep sending that love out there,
Yes,
keep putting that positive
absolutely.
spin on everything, and you can manifest anything, I believe.
You're so correct about this, because there have been times with myself where I have thought negatively, and even if I don't
Yeah.
like actually show it on my face or in my body language,
Mhm.
energetically, I'm getting a whole bunch of negativity coming my way, whether it's with
That's
other
right.
people, with situations. And I'm like, okay, the minute I shift that thinking, and I'm thinking
Hmm.
positive and open, and I'm sending out loving vibration, my whole day changes.
Absolutely, absolutely, because you are an energetic being, and
Mhm.
you are affecting the world around you. I mean, if you have, you get those gut feelings,
Yes.
you know, and you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, and that's cool. That's a physical feeling that you're getting from an emotional experience, and that's a physicality.
Yes.
So we are able to experience that negativity. Negative feelings, negative thoughts can make us ill,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, in the same way that positive thoughts that we send out don't just affect the other people around us, they also make us feel alive,
Yes.
you know.
We do. Yeah.
And they shift everything, they shift the whole day and everyone we come into contact with.
Yes.
It's
They
like you light a candle, you
absolutely.
light one candle, you pass it on to the next person before you've got a wildfire. It's positive energy is a wildfire.
If you really think about it, Dawn, positive energy, not only amongst ourselves, but being able to spread that vibration onto other people and into our communities will change the world for the better. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter what denominations we all are or whatever. If we come together with that
Hmm.
common idea and feeling of wanting to collectively be there for one another, I think there'd be so many beautiful things to come. And I'm hopeful for that. And I think that's what keeps me on my spiritual journey and
Yeah,
continuing to grow and evolve. Because, like you, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect,
absolutely.
but I can now acknowledge them as a woman and
Hmm.
recognize when I am in the wrong and face that and make changes so that I can move forward. And I
That's why
love,
you're here because you are not perfect.
yes.
We're all here because we're not perfect. We're here to learn and evolve and change and affect each other's lives and our own.
Yes. And I love that your spiritualist church really emphasizes that because at the end of the day, like that's really important. And I'm just so thankful that I got to learn more about this and more about you. And you are a powerhouse.
Oh,
Being a
bless you.
mother, a reverend, and a spiritualist medium, and still giving back to your community while also taking the time to make sure that you are where you need to be energetically so that you can still serve is wonderful. And I'm
Thank
super
you.
grateful that I got to meet you today.
It's been a real pleasure to meet you. You're doing an incredible service, giving your time to put out positive messages of what mind body spirit experience is, and love and compassion, and you know it needs to be pushed more without
Yes.
people feeling, because people don't know enough about this, like they think it's all hocus pocus, and
Yes.
so to keep it as to make it as special as you are by sending it out to everyone is wonderful.
Oh, I thank you so much, Dawn. That's wonderful. And I'm just a messenger, and I want people to get to know all of you, viewers, listeners, and to understand, like you said, that it's not hocus pocus. It is a part of us, whether we want to openly admit it or not.
Mhm.
And it has been life changing for me ever since I have accepted it. So, thank you so much for interviewing today and being on the
Thank
show.
you.
I appreciate it. And thank you for listening and watching today on another episode of the Estrella podcast. My name is Danielle Miranda. And once again, if you would like to learn more about the Estrella platform, please visit estrella.chat. Thank you so much, Dawn, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.